So there's an industry in Vegas that's designed to drain a precious resource from you. Immediately, most of you guys are thinking, yeah, slot machines, casinos, money. But I'm talking about something more precious than your money. I'm talking about your time. And that leads into money, because this industry also leads to people a lot of the time making really big financial decisions while they're here just for a vacation, just to relax, let real life go away, let all of those things that they have to think about when they get back home kind of melt into the background. And this, of course, would be the timeshare industry. So I'm sitting here in Caesar's Palace, starting this video, which I've been nervous to make for the last 16 years. Talking about a topic that I wanted to talk about for the last 18 years, since I started the timeshare business back in 2007. And come along with me while we kind of tour the strip, see some locations, and I tell you about how the timeshare business might be one of the most predatory and deceptive businesses anywhere, especially here in town, but how you could actually come out on top and not have to deal with it, or deal with it and come out a winner if you know what to do. I'm going to share some stories and things that have happened to me, and my name is Steven, and I'm not leaving Las Vegas. So let's get out to the strip before Caesar's Palace realizes I'm not here to play slots. I'm here to use them as a backdrop for recording a video. Are you ready? Action. So before we get to what I actually did in the timeshare world, we should talk about how I handed out naked lady cards on the Las Vegas Strip and how that brought me into the timeshare universe and the game itself. You see, it was 2007. I remember it had to be, because that was the year that Las Vegas hosted the NBA All-Star Game, and that was also when City Center was deep under construction. Jobs became incredibly hard to come by, so I got into timeshare the same way many people in my position, I was the body snatcher, got into timeshare by sheer desperation. I was handing out naked lady cards on the strip for about a week before the guy decided he wanted to try to not pay anybody. They don't treat these people who don't speak English very well here in Vegas, it seems. And after going absolutely ballistic and threatening to go to the Review Journal and expose the guy for mistreating minority people, he finally paid me. But at the same time he paid me, I ran into somebody who was on the strip who was doing timeshare occasionally. And we started talking, and he handed me a stack of club cards, which nightclub cards, like nightclubs like Dre's across the street or Omnia over here at Caesar's Palace. He taught me a rap that would have me taking tips for nightclubs. I found out that was illegal really fast. You're not supposed to take tips for nightclubs, and I trusted him because I didn't go to nightclubs, and I told these people that were here from all over the world that Dr. Dre is going to be on the top of the Caesar's Palace spinning records and you get in for free. None of it was true, and I didn't know any better. Ignorance is no excuse. But after he sorted me out on what the realities were and how I was basically going to have an interaction with a cop eventually, and I said, I can't do this anymore, he invited me to come down and talk to a timeshare guy that he knew. He said, you have a good rap. You should be a timeshare greeter. So in my business, I wasn't the guy who asked $90,000 from you. I was the person that asked you to go talk to this guy so he could take 90 minutes of time from you, which led me to my first experience of getting shafted by timeshare people. And I should have known better, but man, was I ever naive. I'm walking through the valley at Caesar's Palace. I don't recommend you do this. This is a really stupid thing to do. You're probably going to have security come up to you, but I wanted to get the camera angle. Let's go out towards Bellagio. As I explain this to you, you might totally understand. See, not all timeshare people are bad people. A lot of them have a lot of experience doing what they do, but because they have to do what they do, they also have a lot of experience going into what I would call a survivalism type of mode. Does that make sense? Survivalism. It's something you have to have when you're street smart. So the first experience I had with timeshare was showing up to a timeshare location that was right up by the old Stardust Hotel. Modern day, it's across the street from the Resorts World. And I was told by a guy, after I introduced myself, to go work with another guy. And my job was simple. All I had to do was I had to stop people and ask them if they wanted to get some free stuff while they're in town. And if they said yes, I would bring them over to this guy. And if this guy could convince them to go and complete a timeshare tour, I'd get $20. It seems easy enough, and I seem to have a knack for it. I remember the first $20 I ever made on the Las Vegas Strip that day. I was able to go home with $20 cash, a real $20 bill in my hand, and be like, wife, we can go buy some steak for Memorial Day. Steak was really cheap back in 2007, 2008, nothing like today. Walmart steak especially. But that was something interesting, because a few days later, I noticed how survivalism can be something that pushes you towards a goal, and how it can be something that shuts other people down and damages other people. Like, it turns out it was damaging me. You see, because no more than a few days after I kept showing up, the original guy that told me to go work with that guy, he looked up at me and he said, "Oh, you're still here?" It's like, yeah, I'm still here. I've been doing that thing you told me to do with the other guy, but I've only made like 50 bucks, 60 bucks, whatever it is. I think it was $60. And he goes, "Kid," he goes, "I didn't know you were still here. I didn't see you yesterday." He says, "Don't go work with that guy. He's going to rip you off. That's what he does. Come work with me. I'll pay you 20 bucks. I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, he sent in like 5 people yesterday alone." I said, "Yeah, I brought him 5 people. He told me that only one of them went." He said, "No, kid, he's ripping you off. He's pocketing the money, not paying you, and then lying to you." And that was like a harsh lesson. But again, I can't stress enough for all the people that I know in timeshare that might be watching this video, that's not indicative of an entire industry of people out on the streets. I mean, the first guy I met, we almost ran into that guy. By the way, subscribe if you like these videos. I'm consistently nearly getting my face smashed by running into people on these bridges that come around the corner, if that's worth it to you. Subscribe if you like the content. Yeah, this guy was on another level. Flash forward a few years, we were all working down here at the CVS pharmacy for a different outfit. Timeshare people, man, they don't really leave the industry. They just go from place to place within the city a lot of the times. And yeah, he decided that he was going to pretend to be a Grand Canyon person and sell Grand Canyon tours, collecting not just $20 this time, but literally hundreds of dollars per person. I think he took $1,200 from an Australian family to book a helicopter tour. These were the deposits, and then simply never turned the money in. It was a big deal. The company we worked for, they were in a kind of a stand-up outfit. They cut a check or gave cash to the Australian family so they wouldn't press charges, and the police looked for him, and crazy enough, nothing happened. I don't know what happened to that guy, but that was my first taste of a cutthroat industry where nothing is what it seems. And speaking of nothing being what it seems, I mean, when they tell you it's just down the road, it's probably just not just down the road. And when they tell you it's 90 minutes, it's probably not just 90 minutes. But I don't know if that has to do with the person who is putting you into the timeshare position, because for a while it certainly didn't with me. So the first thing you need to arm yourself with if you're actually considering doing one of these timeshare tours in Vegas is the location of the timeshare property itself. Like, without it, you're at a complete disadvantage, and it becomes nearly impossible to actually plan the rest of your day. See, international people have the most to lose by doing a timeshare presentation in Vegas just because of the time commitment involved. If you got to think about it, like, they're spending all this time coming overseas, doing a 12-hour flight in some cases, if not longer, only to end up in a 90-minute presentation, which goes longer and longer because of the sales tactics of the salespeople inside, right? So the first timeshare properties in Vegas operated almost exclusively on the Las Vegas Strip. The Debbie Reynolds Hotel, which is a block off the Strip, is long gone. It became the Greek Isles. And then from there, the Greek Isles got demolished to the ground. And then we had the Jockey Club, of course, over by the city center. Nowadays, the closest you can get is the Alara over at the Planet Hollywood, the Marriott Grand Chateau, the Diamond Resorts International. Everything else will take you off the entire Strip. See, because not knowing where the timeshare is geographically located means you're going to lose your day. And it's like international folks that come out here and do these things. I feel so bad for them. I talked to a lady once, and she laughed when I talked to her and told her I did timeshare in Vegas and I was a marketer. And I said, "What's so funny?" And she said, "Oh, love." English people like to say, "Oh, love. Oh, love. It's so funny, right?" Terrible, I know. If you're English, give me a thumbs up or dislike it 10 times. She said, "I used to sell this stuff in Tenerife, Spain. Let me tell you what they do." I said, "Pray tell." She said, "Well, We tell them that they're going to get a free day cruise if they just sit through a 90-minute breakfast about the timeshare. And 7.5, 8 hours later, when the sun is set and they want to get off the ship, they finally buy the thing. So I can't reaffirm this enough in this video. If you do one of these tours, you can't blame the person sending you in on the tour. It's not them that did the dirty damage against you. Most of them are just hardworking people out here hustling on the strip trying to make an honest living. They have licenses, they pay their taxes, they're good folks. It's the people inside that really get you. So let's say you...
Ready for a photo?
I'm okay, you want to be on my video? There you go. Oh, wow, there you are. Oh, why are you not on my video? There you are. Hi. What's your name?
Honey Love Martin on Instagram.
Okay, we're doing a video on timeshare. You ever done a timeshare tour?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Yes, most definitely.
What'd you get out of it?
I didn't get the timeshare, but I definitely would love when I retire.
You love when you retire. I love it. Okay, well, you have a good one, okay?
You too.
Thanks. Sorry, I got the showgirl sighting out here. Subscribe for a showgirl sighting? Anyways, I'm going to ask you to subscribe about 10 times in this video. I'm going to collect my thoughts. Let's jump into the next segment because that just totally blew my mind. When you do a timeshare presentation and a tour in Vegas, the whole goal of that tour and that salesperson that you're with is to sell you on a dream for a life that you can't actually live. And people buy highly based on their emotional state at the time, and they make irrational decisions a lot of the time because of that. Prices are slashed and lowered until they're sometimes absurd, but the typical timeshare pitch is actually quite brilliant, if not a little bit sneaky and manipulative in its own sense. And it goes something like this. First things first, you got to go through the Grand Inquisition. They're going to ask you questions about where you have vacationed, where you like to vacation the most. And they're going to ask you stuff about your family. How many people are in your family? How many people vacation with you? How often do you travel? And then they start asking you questions about what you really want out of your vacation. What would it mean to you if you couldn't get to Disney because you can't afford the room at a certain point of the year? Or what does it look like for you if you have a big family reunion and you can't bring everybody else along? This is called kind of building the dream. And then after they've built the dream, they get you emotionally intrigued. They hit you with the harsh reality. If you'd like to go to Maui every year, but you can't afford a 2,500 square foot suite at the Marriott or the Hyatt, well, I mean, that's going to be, wow, that'll come out to $10,000 for your vacation. Oh man, you can't afford to come to Vegas as often as you want because you don't have the money. That'll come out to this much for your vacation. What is that going to mean to your family if you can't do those vacations? What is that going to do to you? Is your wife going to be happy? Turns to the wife. Very sneaky and manipulative. And I'm sure not all agents do this, but the best agents unfortunately seem to. And the best agent programs, like one of the biggest in the entire world, starting with the letter W, even offer sales training to lead people down these types of somewhat manipulative types of sales pitches. But after they've done building the dream with you, they hit you with the reality. And what is the reality? See, the harsh reality is that your harsh reality is not really a harsh reality. So when they hit you with the reality that you might have to use online booking systems and pay resort fees, it hits a little bit harder. That's because they want to hit you with the emotional feels of something bigger, something better, something called timeshare. What if you could stay in the same great room with the same great company every single week or every so often based on your purchase today? What if you owned your vacation for the lifetime of your vacation? And it's at this point where you're thinking more emotionally than you're thinking psychologically. Logic has kind of gone out the window. I mean, after all, you didn't want to think about your finances when you came here, so that part of your brain is already turned off. But now all you're thinking about is this dream life that you could be living, and people buy status. I want to tell you that. Quick side note story. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. This might make you chuckle. I remember a friend and I were sitting outside of the Marriott Grand Chateau. Now, Marriott's got a huge timeshare program. Anybody want to tell you that timeshare is a scam? I mean, if it was such a scam, then I legit just found a $100 bill. I'm gonna go into the casino real fast. I don't know if it's fake or not. Unbelievable. Give me a like if I legit found a $100 bill. Let me look at this. Get to safety though. I did. I legitimately found a real $100 bill while filming this video. I don't even remember what I was just talking about. That was a cool experience. And for the record, I've only ever found cash on the strip one other time. I found 2 other times. I found a casino chip in a casino once, which is always dicey, because if you find abandoned chips, they're property of the casino, and they can demand them back. But I managed to come back the next day and get the cash for it. And I found a $100 bill in front of the Harmon Corner, where the McDonald's is across the street from City Center. But coming back to it, that's the psychological game. That's the manipulation. That's where you find yourself at a disadvantage. You find yourself wondering if you really should go in for this. Oh yeah, it was the funny status story. Look at how people just go against the traffic. I'm doing it too. This is such a cluster, you know what? We're all walking against the light. Now's the time of the video. Before I get to that funny story, I should say subscribe if you guys have learned anything out of this video, if you at all enjoy this. I want to bring you the real strip. I want to not sugarcoat it. I want to tell you about how things really are in this town. So like, share, subscribe, come back for more videos, and leave us a comment below. That really helps the channel. You see, I realized that what people are buying is they're buying status in life. And for a lot of people, that means buying into an organization or a club. The story goes like this. We were working in front of the Marriott Grand Chateau. Now, I won't get into the details, but the timeshare world, at least it used to be run mostly by a company called Interval International or a company called RCI. Interval International was selling products through Marriott. Marriott was selling Interval International. We were selling a little place right next door, which means that if you bought the place next door, which was also with Interval International, you could use the Marriott for literally a fifth of the cost. So every single day, this little short, stout, very stereotypical Italian guy from New York City, he would come out and my buddy Josh would kind of play along with them. Hey man, you gonna do my tour? Nah, I'm doing the upgrade tour. That's how we talked, right? And it was always like a thing for about a week until finally, on his very last day, Josh, who had, been talking to him, so we didn't interrupt Josh and try to get the guy to do the tour instead. Josh finally said, all right, it's your last day. Are you gonna do the tour? And the guy, no doubt, full stops in the middle of the sidewalk, and he goes, not today, pal. I upgraded yesterday. I'm now presidential. And that's what it boils down to with this. These inside timeshare tours, they seem to be a combination of psychological pressure, emotional tactics, and assigning some kind of status to you that you otherwise wouldn't have in life. So if you have issues at work where you don't get the title you want, or maybe your kids don't look up to you enough, you may be a little more susceptible for the timeshare tactics. But you don't have to buy, right? So what's the big deal? The big deal is when you try to leave the presentation. And that's when things can go wonky. And there are some ways you can try to get out faster, but it might kind of risk your gifts. Let me explain that. But it's this time of the video where I want to talk about our video sponsor. If you've made it this far and you want to get a gift from a casino, not a timeshare company that won't take it back, head on over to notleavinglasvegas.com/casinos. We've partnered up with an amazing company, a giant, huge company based on the NASDAQ exchange, casinos.com and gambling.com. And they're going to give you special offers if you decide to do any gaming on slots or tables from your house. It can be huge offers from huge companies based on where you live, but there's always something for you. It's all legit. There's no crypto casino for you guys to have to figure out how to buy crypto to play in. It's not weird. It's no Chinese company stealing all your money and your identity at the same time. Go to notleavinglasvegas.com/casinos and pick up your free casino offer. We get a little commission if you use that. But what about these companies not actually giving you your gifts? Like, what tactics can you use to get out of a timeshare and still get your free stuff? There's a few, but let me tell you the worst, and that's the one that never works. So the first thing you don't want to do is you don't want to cry poverty while you're on the timeshare tour to try to get out of the timeshare tour. Like, if you do this, you risk giving away all the incentive you had to go. Let's say the company called you up and said, you're qualified to come in and do a tour with us. We're going to give you a 3-day, 2-night vacation stay, maybe for free, maybe for $99. Yeah, you're going to find the entire room charge to your bill if you try to tell them that you declared bankruptcy, or that, you guys, this isn't really my credit card. It's an expired credit card. Yeah, you can't do that kind of stuff. And what you should know, too, is that nowadays, a lot of these companies, they're doing pre-qualification checks to you. They don't appear on your credit as a soft credit or a hard pull. so you don't even know if they're doing them. And they started doing these back in around 2008-ish because the industry was just going through turmoil, and the people that finance these types of deals wanted to make sure that people that were going on timeshare tours could actually afford to purchase them. So they probably already know more about your financial situation than you think they do. So don't risk your free stuff by telling them that you can't afford it or you declared bankruptcy, because you're likely to have at that point just spent 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in a loop that you didn't have to be in, where you walk out of there with absolutely nothing. If not, in the case of the hotel stay, getting it for a discount or for free, an actual bill that you have to pay. The other way you don't want to get out of these things is by claiming that you just completely missed the qualifications whatsoever. Most of these timeshares, they want people who are married or living together. They have proof of it, like maybe they have a bank account in the same name, or they have a utility bill if they're cohabitating couples, or they're married and they have their same last names on their IDs. Don't tell them that that's your sister. That's just gross. You'll be sitting there playing kissing cousins with your sister, because that'll also put you in the same category as the first one, where they're not going to give you your free stuff for doing it. Ironically enough, here in the Miracle Mile shops, there is still timeshare happening. This is the Hilton Grand Vacation. These booths actually change and cycle out. At one point, this was Westgate, which had the Hilton Grand Vacation building before it was called Hilton Grand Vacation. At one point, it was the Jockey Club across the street. These are sublet out to other people, so the companies that are in here are just paying a huge rent to be in here. And I don't think they care if anybody complains to the management, because it's just another form of revenue for them. So how do you get out reasonably? I mean, the only one that I've ever heard work is that you have a hard stop at a particular time. But even this can backfire for you. You see, if you're going in there like Flavor Flav with a big old clock emblem or a giant watch, and you keep looking at your watch, this will cause a rookie timeshare person who's a sales liner that actually sells you the timeshare, this will cause them to either, hi, people smiling at me because I have a camera. This will cause them to either get nervous if they're a rookie or an amateur, or get really pissed off at you and make sure that your hard stop doesn't come to pass, because how dare you interrupt my flow to try to sell you something. But even if you get to the 90-minute mark and you don't buy anything and you've made it adamantly clear, that's when the closer comes out, and that's where the trouble seems to start on these presentations. So the closer is not usually, typically, as far as I understand it, the first person that you're talking to. The first person is kind of like a warm-up act. They're there to find out all your hopes and dreams and paint the picture for you and sell you the dream. And then the closer comes in to try to work out the money. They usually call him my manager or something like that. This is quite common in sales. Car sales even does this. But when the closer comes out and you say no and they keep lowering the price, and they say no and they keep lowering the price, it becomes sometimes a cavalcade of ridiculousness. I remember one project I was working with, and again, I'm just outside marketing. I was talking to one of their sales reps years and years and years ago, and they were telling me that they had a whole special team lined up, so the minute that you leave and you come back in to get your gifts, there's a whole nother offer just lined up for you. I remember one company that did this nasty little thing that where even if you bought a small plan or a small package, maybe you just buy a week to try out, one and done, you're not committed for a long time, that at the end of that, they invite you to a breakfast, a legit breakfast with actual food and pancakes and all sorts of good hot foods in the morning to pick up your deal, where you're presented with another sales pitch to find out the real reasons you haven't upgraded. So in the end, I mean, you got to answer this question. Is timeshare the darkest industry in this city? Is an industry that's designed from the ground up from over the past 50, 60, maybe 70 years of it being a thing internationally before it hit big in the States, is an industry that's this set up to prey on your time, to put you into an emotional state once you get on the tour, to have you actually make ill-informed purchases once you get on the tour. Is this industry the darkest industry in the city? And that's a bold statement, because remember, we live in a town where cab drivers will ride you out to the strip club and promise you that this is the special one, that if you get the backroom show, extra stuff's going to happen. This is the club where ladies of the night will prey on you if you look like you're kind of nerdy, sort of like me, at the bar and roofie your drink and steal your Rolex. Never happened to me. I'm happily married the whole time I've been here. Never tried that experience myself. I mean, this is the town where people will leave you 8 feet out in the desert, 6 feet buried deep back in the day, but maybe the timeshare industry has supplanted that as the darkest. But you need to tell me in the comments below. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. This has been an exploration of timeshare in Vegas. Not so much the outside marketing, but more so the inside. And I'm not going to lie, I'm scared to death of some of the people that I worked with in the timeshare business. But that will be a video for our Patreon. This video is brought to you by Patreon. You can see the names scrolling across the screen right now on the bottom. If you're interested in getting special videos, things that I can't talk about on YouTube, things that I have to paywall, things that when I do that video, I will give complete anonymity to all those people because some of them scare the hell out of me. If you want to hear about people who unalive themselves doing timeshare inadvertently, check out our Patreon. Until then, be sure to like, share, subscribe if you're just browsing through. You're the best part of my day when I do these videos. Now's the time when I look at the camera and say 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and click!